All right, ready to go. Sorry, I'm just getting my links. No. There we go. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Kennel NRL podcast. And today, the hits keep rolling here on the podcast. We have a very special guest. We've got Winston Neville. Welcome, Winston.
How are ya?
Yeah, man, excited. I'm really glad you were able to make the trek down. He's very committed. He drove down for about an hour to get here. So really grateful that you came down.
Thanks for the invite. Always love jumping on podcasts. Obviously, you got a good thing going here. So happy to jump on and chat about the Bulldogs, obviously.
Nothing better than chatting Bulldogs on a Tuesday afternoon after the
it.
team announcement. And
That's
after
it.
a great win too, eh?
Oh, fantastic win. I think you could argue an unexpected win as well. Like, we were outsiders and I don't know, I just felt like it was one of those games where if they lost, I probably wouldn't have been too upset about it, to be honest. But yeah, you can't complain about winning.
You can never complain. And you know what I thought was interesting was that we didn't even play anywhere near our best. Like we could have easily lost that game and it would have been our fault. Like it wasn't, Sharks played okay. They defended well, but I just didn't think we were up for it until maybe the last 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah, I think that we've lost games where we've played better this year, if that makes sense.
100%.
Like that, and that's what makes the win so good. Obviously, like winning in Golden Point by field goal is nice, but to play so bad, or not so bad, but to play bad and then still win, that's something that only good teams really do. They always say like
Finals bound teams.
yeah, if you want to play finals, you got to win games even if you're playing bad, and that's something that we did on the weekend. So
Mason calls it winning fugly. On his podcast, he calls it winning fugly, and I think winning fugly is something that we haven't done honestly for probably 6 or 7 years.
Yeah.
And all of our wins have been fugly anyway. But like to play bad and win is just it's really refreshing to see what the Bulldogs have been able to do. And guys, if you don't know about Winston runs the Orange Peelers podcast. I'll leave a link down below after the live stream is over. So you guys go ahead and follow him on YouTube. Subscribe to him on YouTube. I'll link his Instagram pages as well.
Yeah.
He's very active on Insta and on TikTok and things like that. So please be sure to show him some love, but also show us some love. So if this is the first time you see the podcast or you haven't yet subscribed, go ahead and hit that button. Like this video. I think if you're not aware, liking a video does help boost us in the algorithm and just get a few more eyes on us. So please, if you can do that, that'd be great. Now, also very quickly, in the next couple of weeks, we have some very exciting videos. So last week we sat down with James Graham, none other than James Graham. That'll be coming out next week. It was an excellent discussion. It's a side of James Graham that I don't think anyone's seen. He's such a gentleman. He's such a pom too. Like he came in and I was like, "Hey James, would you like a coffee or anything?" He's like, "Look, I don't really want a coffee, but if you can give me an English breakfast with a splash of milk, that'd be great." I was like, "Oh, that's such a pommy thing to ask for." But
you could
no
almost
worries.
get away with being twins, I reckon.
Oh man, I've actually got a really interesting story about that. In the 2014 when we were making the grand final, I headed down to Belmore, right? And all the celebrations were happening outside Joe Bell's and that, and someone turned around and was like, "Is that James Graham?" And then the whole crowd started chatting because they thought it was James Graham. I was like, "Calm down, guys.
You
It's
get
just
away
me."
with it.
Honestly,
You just
man.
need the pommy accent.
Oh, I just need the pommy accent. That's all it is. It was actually really, it was a funny situation. But yeah, he was fantastic. And you know what else is? It was freezing that day, and he came in shorts. And I just looked at him and I thought, "Bro, you are such a pom." Like it was a great chat. So look out for that. The other thing we did was we went and took some videos and did some interviews at the Grenica Tigers Junior Rugby League Club. They are one of the largest junior rugby league club in the Canterbury Bankstown area, and they had a gala day, and Hopboy was there, Bailey Haywood was there, John Curry was there. It was a great day. We spoke to them about what it means to the community, and look out for that video as well. It's great insight into how good the junior rugby league system at the Bulldogs is becoming and how much work has been done to get it from where it was 5-6 years ago to where it is today.
I was going to say that I think the club's doing a lot at currently to get more participation through the juniors, and I think they had a grant or something where they could pay some of the fee just to encourage kids to be playing, and obviously like they're at a very young age and it's hard to be like, oh, they're the future Bulldog players, but like they are like.
Well, I mean, out of every 100, you're probably going to get maybe one or two.
Exactly. But like they come through the system.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, they've got to be in the system. So.
And it's great that you mentioned the grant because the government was subsidizing children's sport for a while, and then the government sort of ended that scheme.
Yeah.
And so the Bulldogs, I think it's the Leagues Club actually, that's chipping in the money that the government's no longer chipping in. So they're still subsidizing it for the Canberra Bankstown area, which, you know, for me, I think it really shows and speaks to where the club is at in its trajectory. And I think, you know, speaking to John Curry, the bloke is so passionate about junior rugby league, and it's such a pleasure to have someone like him looking after junior rugby league. And I think the club is in great hands.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I agree.
Just quick shout out to everybody in the chat: Jamie, Luke, Omar, Luke again, Omar, Holden forever. So that Sharks game, you know, I've got some thoughts, and I'll be honest, I probably don't think Burton had as good of a game as that last kick would suggest.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think attacking wise, obviously, he had no try assists, he had no tries, he had missed tackles. But I think the thing about Burton's performance, and like I'd have him man of the match, is his long kicking game.
Yes.
And obviously, we sit here. Like I've done a little bit, but I've sort of come to terms with why he's not doing the bomb anymore. But you get the fans, you get Joey Johns on Channel 9 being like, why isn't he doing bombs? And like, obviously we love seeing the bomb, and it is a weapon where like fullbacks rarely catch it. They probably drop it more often than they catch them. But his long kicking game is so vital at the moment because realistically, we have a pretty weak forward pack, and our forwards just aren't making the meters that they need to be in. Matt Burton's boot completely makes up for it. If they get to the 30 or the 40, he just kicks it down to the 10-meter line anyway. And I think that's what he did very, very well against the Sharks, and it really kept us in the game. I was paying close attention to it because I was just watching us make no meters at all, and then he just booted downfield, and it's as if we've got a good forward pack, and that's something that has been, you know, a factor every game this year where we've got a small forward pack, and it's well documented that we do have small forwards, but Matt Burton's kicking game, his long kicking game is making up for it. And if he's putting up a bomb every time, yeah, you might get the ball back, but, you know, maybe we'll make an error off the bomb. I think it's a lower percentage play where if he just boots it long, it makes up for the lack of size in the forwards, the lack of meters, and it kept us in the contest.
And look, spot on. And to be honest, I think sometimes it's lost. And I said he didn't play that well, but I was actually going to qualify that statement by saying it was his boot that kept us in the game in multiple aspects. Number one, he kicked for over 700 meters.
Yeah, insane.
That is unbelievable. To kick for over 700 meters, it is. I mean, I don't want to say it's unheard of, but in the modern game, there aren't many halves or 5/8s that can say they can kick 700 meters so effortlessly.
And yeah, he makes it look out. Even like you look at the 2 field goal attempts that he hit from the 45 meters out, they went dead on the full. Like I understand he missed it, but like just look at the kick, the quality of the kick. Yeah, he missed it, but he put them dead on the full from 45 meters out. I think if there was no kick pressure, probably like at Belmore Oval at training, he'd hit him from 60 out. Genuinely,
honestly, I reckon he would hit him from 60 out.
It's
without
insane.
pressure.
Like it's actually insane how big his boot
And the one he did kick, it just felt like he literally like just tapped it. He just like, I'm gonna give it an attempt. Like I think he purposely didn't want to kick it too hard to try and get some more accuracy in it.
Yeah, I agree.
But you know, he like you look at every single time we were on our 35, he'd kick it from 35 or 40 out. It's on their 10 or 15 meter line.
Consistently on their 10 meter line. It's insane.
And the kick is only as good as its kick chase. And the kick chase was always up for it. They knew.
Yeah.
They're like, look, we know Burton's going to kick the shit out of it. Let's be there. Let's support him. Let's play that.
And I feel like that's something we've been lacking, especially last year. Just effort on kick chase. I feel like last year particularly, the kick chase just wasn't there, and Burton had booted downfield and nobody was chasing. But this year, I feel like there's been an emphasis on, no, we need to chase the kick. We need to make up for the forward pack not making meters. I think it's a clear part of the game plan that it doesn't matter how many meters we're making because Matt Burton can put it if we make 60 meters, he's putting it on the 10 meter line, or any halfback's putting it on the 10. But if we make 30, Matt Burton's one of the only halfbacks capable of putting it on the 10, and then you just got to chase it.
Yeah, 100%. And, I think he's picking his moments. I feel like he'll put the spiral bomb up or the towering bomb up when he needs to.
Yeah.
But he's a lot smarter with his kicking. And I felt like even against the Sharks, he was a bit smarter with his running game. I thought there were times where he almost could have exploded. Like there were just that little bit more, maybe a more tired or fatigued defense. And we sort of, he makes that break. But I mean, you speak about the small forward pack, and, we've already signed Tom Mamone. And then reports are that we've signed Sitili Tupanua.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the signing?
I think both signings are great. I think Tom Mamone, a bit of an underrated signing. Obviously, in the Super League, you don't see as much of him. Obviously, just naturally with time zones, and it's not our main competition. We don't watch Super League as much. But I think he's a quality forward. He's got a little bit of size to him. He's tough. He'll get through a ton of work, I think. And then Sitili, he's an absolute weapon. Obviously, I made the joke on Twitter yesterday that he played centre on the weekend, which made him qualify as a utility. So he jumped straight onto him. Obviously, we love our utilities, but in all seriousness, he's played a lot of back row. He's also played a little bit through the middle, as all the Roosters forwards have this year. And I think we'll probably use him through the middle, same as what we're doing with Josh Curran, where more of an edge player, but is capable of just getting through a bunch of work through the middle. And I think Cameron Serrato has shown that with the signings he has made, and there was a big feature article about it the other week where he goes deep into doing a bit of background research on who he's signing and making sure culturally they're going to be a good fit, talking to just like anyone he can to, get a good gauge on what is the player like off the field and on the field. And I think I trust him enough. And like just watching Sitili play, he's a great player. But even just culturally, I think if Ciro signed him, he'll fit in.
Oh, and to be honest, like I think it's at that time now in the season and in sort of Serrato showing us what he can do that we need to start trusting him. I think it's one thing to say he's yet to prove himself, but the difference between say last year and this year and what we're seeing from him, it's like look, I trust his judgment. Yeah. And the thing is, if of every signing that we've made coming into this year, I think they've all been a resounding success.
No, literally, like name one signing we made in the off-season that's been a bad signing. Like the worst signing probably is maybe like a Jake Turpin or something, and even he hasn't been bad.
He's been good for when he's played. He's played his role, and so it's like, there
hasn't really been a bad signing.
Not you're all right, bro. You're doing a good job.
I think it's easy to look at last season and like we were like you can't hide from it. Last season did happen, and we were horrible, and Serrato was the coach, and they have made some questionable signings, not like in the offseason, as I just said, in the offseason just gone. I think they've all been, good signings, but the offseason before when he first came to the club, I think, like even if you go back to Vita, who just didn't kick on as much as he should have. But yeah, I think Serrato having full control of the club, he had his offseason where he cleaned out so many players that just weren't doing what he needed them to do culturally. He's been on record saying it's the same defensive system that we were using last year when we were conceding 66 points, but he's just got the right players in that are buying into the system and buying into the culture. And like, you just look at the way they are, like I've been down to a couple of their training sessions and just on social media, you just see the way they're connecting as a group. It's completely different now. You can see the shift and it's only a good thing.
It's a great thing, and you ask anyone in the club and they'll tell you there were a few people or a few players that would probably better just moving on.
Yeah,
both for themselves and for the club. And I think the club had to make some really tough decisions. And winning premierships is not it's not a game. It is a game technically, but it's a real business decision that you need to make to get to a position where your club is moving in that direction. Yeah. And I think momentum is a big thing. I spoke about it in the preseason, and I said that if the club wants to win this year, we need to build momentum, and it's all about our signings. And look, we signed Crichton. No one knew just how good Crichton was going to be. No one. I don't care what anyone says. I don't think anyone would have said Crichton right now is, I reckon, he's a smoky for captain of the year, smoky for signing of the year. I don't know if that's an award, but center of the year. Like he's just killing it in every facet. And this is very, very controversial, but I think he's actually gone to a next level.
Well, you look like he won 3 premierships in a row at the Panthers. He was playing Origin. He's, representing Samoa. We knew what he could do as a player.
Yes.
He came in, he was appointed captain, and we all made jokes being like, all you have to do is, sign with the Dogs and captain. We saw Reid Marnie came in, captain straight away. Critter, 23 years old. Just like he's a kid. He's 23 years old. And he comes in as captain. I was like, what's doing here?
Yeah.
Like, it was, are we only giving him the captaincy just to like lure him to the club? What's actually going on? But his leadership is just insane, like off the charts. So that's why I think he has gone to a new level, because he's still the same quality player he was last year, but he's added this element of leadership and just little things, the way he carries himself. On the weekend, we saw Nicho Hynes was in the tunnel. He went up, made sure Nicho Hynes was okay. He's always the last player off the field. He's always signing stuff with the fans. Just the little things that you do or don't see. off the field, leadership-wise, and then what you do see on the field, him in the huddle.
Full package.
Yeah.
Complete full package.
He's, I think, signing of the year. I think captain of the year. He'll be in the conversation for center of the year.
100%. Yeah. And on the Sharks game, Moot FM has mentioned, we won the game by a B's. Hynes missed 2 conversions and a field goal. The second half from the Bulldogs showed so much resilience and focus from the team. At the end of the day, we took our chances. I think it's so well summed up, because what it showed to me, and this is a weird comparison, but you know what the game reminded me of? I don't know if you remember the 2014 semi against Manly. We won by 1 point, right? Yeah. That game, we had no right winning. Like, you look at the team, you look at the performances, we had no right to win that game, but somehow we were able to grind out a win. Yeah. This game against the Sharks reminds me of that. We had no right to win. If you look at the statistics, they had it all over us in average set distance. They were more than us by 7 meters in terms of the meters run, in terms of their play the ball speed, in terms of missed tackles. Like, we missed twice as many tackles as they did. Yeah. But we still won. Yeah. We still won. And that speaks to, not only are we taking our chances, but we are defending like we want to win. Yep. Our attitude is to win. And I think that is what the Bulldogs have missed for 7 years. And that is what Crichton has brought with him.
It's the resilience. I think he used the word resilience, and that's the word that best sums it up. We've been an 80-minute team this year. We've had multiple games where we've come from behind to win. I think the Tigers was either tied at half. I think we were losing to the Tigers at half time. Yeah. Came back and won. The Para game, losing with 20 minutes to go. 15 minutes to go, a man in the sin bin. There's been multiple games where we've been behind and come back to win. And there's also been even more games where we're heading into a game with no chance. We just turn up and win, like the Sharks game, like the Knights game in Newcastle. Yes. And it's a resilient side where even if things are going against them, they just stick to their game plan. They stick to their process. It can be so hard if you're a half. If you're Matt Burton and you're losing by 2 points with 20 minutes left and then 10 minutes left, 5 minutes left, it's very hard to stay in your process and trust your system and just keep kicking to that corner, waiting for the game to break open. That's a hard thing to do, to trust the system. But the team is trusting trusting the game plan, trusting the system, staying resilient, just sticking to the process, and they kick to the corners and they, found a way to get some points, force it to golden point, and then stepped up when they needed to. And,
it's on golden point. So Random Stats Guy was saying that, or he made a video actually, and he was, he actually arrived at the conclusion, according to the statistics, the Bulldogs are the most successful when it comes to golden point wins, with 77% of the golden point games the Bulldogs play, they win.
Yeah, and look at some of our past players like Trent Hodkinson. Yeah, he was the Iceman.
He was the OG Iceman.
He really was. He was like that Manly game, as you mentioned. That's one of my favorite Bulldog games ever. He kicked 2 field goals, and then Matt Burton has now had multiple moments where he ices the game with a field goal. I think it's really nice as a Bulldogs fan to. I didn't realize we had such a high win percentage in golden point. To be honest. But when you look back on it, it's like, I don't really remember losing any golden points. So obviously you can think of them, but
don't forget the Cowboys one last year where he kicked it from almost the sideline to get it in. I still remember that celebration. Yeah. I could not believe he had kicked that, and the Cowboys were doing all right back then as well. So so quick points. James Ham has said, "Come on, we beat Sharkies. We are heading to the top 4." What do you think?
Well, we've got the Warriors this week and then a bye. We're sitting 2 points outside of the top 4 now. I think in the long run, I don't see us making the top 4. Although, if you look at the stats, the last 2 teams to come 15th have made the top 4 the next year, if you want to, get into that sort of thing. But I think maybe not on the weekend, but, the month before the weekend, we're playing like a top 4 team. There were critics out there, your bloke and Bar Guru, that, NRL critics, whether they're, like Fox League or just whatever, we were playing like a top 4 side, and top 4 sides win those games where you play bad, but you still win. I don't know if we'll make the top 4, but if we can play like a top 4 side and get into the 8, anything can happen in finals.
All right, I'll come back at you a little bit. We've got the Warriors, then the bye. Yeah. Then we have the Cowboys, the Broncos, the Raiders at home at Belmore, the Dragons, the Dolphins, the Warriors again, Seagulls, and then the Cowboys.
Yeah, I think
that's a fairly good run home.
No, it's a very good run home. We don't play any of the bottom 4, but we don't play any of the top 4, and we play the teams around us. And the games you want to win are the games against teams around you because it's pretty much double points. You get your 2 points, you're taking 2 points off them. And to play a team like the Cowboys, who are sitting, I think, 7th or 8th, twice on the run home.
Warriors twice.
And Warriors twice as well. So, and then, as you said, Manly, Dragons are around there. So they're the games that really count. And if you can beat Cowboys once, if you can beat Warriors once, and then, get a Manly, get a Dragons, get a Dolphins, you're sitting pretty nicely.
And we still got the bye. So if you think about it, we'll be on, 34 points.
Yeah. They say you need, the way people say usually, you need 12, 13 wins for top 8. I say 12, you might play finals. 13, you'll probably play finals. 14, you're playing finals. I think we're on 8 wins at the moment, so we need 5 to probably be... 5 probably puts us in finals. Like that gets us at 13, over 50% win rate. I think, 5 more wins is very doable.
And to be honest, not doable, expected. I know that's a rough, but
that's fair.
If we played so well up until round 18, and then we shit ourselves, it's like, well, that's alarming.
Yeah,
right. 100%. But if we can continue to defend, like I'll tell you something. If we keep a team to less than 18 points, there's a very strong chance we win.
Yeah. Right?
Like against the Sharks, I said, if the Sharks don't score again, I think we're going to win. Even though we're playing shit. I said this to the boys always watching the game with, if we keep them to 14, we win.
Yeah.
And my mate was like, no, we don't have it in us. We don't have it in us. We got there.
Yeah.
Right? You look at, the Roosters is, look, everybody, no one's perfect. No team is undefeated, right? And you can't expect the Bulldogs not to lose, especially to a red hot Roosters.
Mate, Matt Burton was at centre. The game doesn't count. That's my opinion,
bro. I
don't even count that.
I've shared my opinion as well, and I think that had Matt Burton played 6, I still don't think we win. Yeah, to be honest.
Yeah,
but I think we give a better account of ourselves.
I genuinely don't count that game because it's like it was just.
But you know what it does? It sort of puts that nail in the coffin about Burto being
finally.
You know what I mean?
If the first 15 weeks of him killing it at 5'8" didn't show everyone that he's not a centre, him playing at centre and going, he had 2 runs in the first half and just got no ball. That, what better way to prove that he's not a centre? He's a 5'8" guy. Please understand
he's kicking, his kicking game on its own, his long kicking game.
Yeah.
I think Moses has the best all-round kicking game. Burton has the best long kicking game.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
I think he's definitely right up there. And as a 5'8" as well, the best, the 3 best kicking halves, you got Cleary, you got Moses, you got Adam Reynolds, I'd probably throw in there. Even Cherry Evans. Yeah. They're all halfbacks. They are halfbacks. Not Moses. Burton is a 5'8" with an elite kicking game. And everyone, they come out and they're like, oh, he's not a 5'8", he's a centre, he just does big kicks. He hasn't really done big kicks all year. It's his long kicking game and his strategic kicking game that's keeping us in the game. It's not his bombs that's keeping us in the game. He's not doing his bombs. I think I sometimes joke that he stopped doing bombs to put that argument to bed because he's more than just his bombs. 100%. He doesn't even do his bombs anymore.
No, look, and I think that's actually a fair point. I think that he's more than just the flashy bomb.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times, and you look at other teams, you don't really notice certain things about specific players because you don't watch your team. You don't watch that team as closely as you watch yours. Some people might watch every team very, very closely, but you won't know how good Burton is for the club unless you literally follow what's happening with the club,
100%.
Where he plays, all these little nuances that I guess other fans may not pay attention to.
And my big thing in the preseason when all the whole centre debate was happening was, yes, he's proven he can be a quality centre, 100%, but there's nobody in the Bulldogs team to help him be a quality centre. You need good ball. You need good early ball. You
need Burton passing to Burton for him to be a good
centre. He had a future immortal at Penrith. He had the New South Wales halves as his halves. He was getting good ball, and ironically, the only person at the Bulldogs that can get Matt Burton good ball is Matt Burton.
That's right.
So he needs to be at 6.
And so, he was. Hang on. Someone mentioned that the Bulldogs, Burton and Sexton at 6 and 7 are undefeated this year.
Yeah, that sounds about right to me because we lost to the Roosters, but Burton was at centre.
I'm
not going to argue with you.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think. I'm
good.
That does sound about right. Yeah.
Mike Cool thinks that we're only going to lose 1 or 2 games for the rest of the season.
Yeah,
which is very positive.
Yeah,
I understand that positivity, although realistically, come towards finals, I think we'll lose maybe. Actually, it's a good point. The only one I see probably troubling us will be the Broncos. Their whole pack.
I think realistically, Broncos probably do beat us, and then we play whilst in New Zealand. That'll be tough. And then we play Cowboys in North Queensland. That'll probably be tough. But outside of that, the only one that really concerns me is probably Dolphins in Bundaberg.
Well, they'll be without Jeremy Marshall King.
Yeah, somebody just said that.
David
and I'm not saying we're no chance to win that game. We're probably going to it as favourites, but that's like Dragons. We should beat Manly. I guess they've got Turbo back now, so there's a lot of 50-50 games, but there's no games where I'm like, we're definitely losing. Yeah, which is good. It's weird as a Bulldogs fan going into a game almost thinking like we probably should win this.
Yeah,
usually go into a game being like, oh, it's a write-off.
But you know what's interesting? For a lot of the games that we have won, most of the time we've come in not as favourites.
Yeah.
Like against the Sharks, we weren't favourites.
Yeah.
Even against the Knights game, right? We beat them 30-2. We weren't favourites.
Like the Para game.
Like, but that was the best game ever.
It's good though. It's good flying under the radar. I remember in 2014 under Des, the media were always saying how the Des Hazard liked flying under the radar, and we came into the finals in 7th. We're way under the radar. Ran to the grand final. I think being in a spot like that doesn't hurt.
Honestly, it doesn't. Yeah. But Mike Cool's saying that this will be the first time the Dogs were undefeated at home for the entire season since 1953 if they pull it off.
Yeah, somebody messaged that to me today. I wonder if it was the same guy. They said we're undefeated that whole season. I think they had 2 draws at home, something like that. So they didn't lose a home game. And yeah, we've somehow made Accor Stadium a fortress. Usually teams like Penrith, Suburban Ground, Brookvale, Suburban Ground, they can make that a fortress because it's a small stadium. You can pack it out. We've turned Accor into a fortress.
It's been pretty impressive. Yeah. And to be honest, I think it just shows the support that the team does enjoy at the moment. We're really rising as a fan base to the occasion, and it's been so good. Like when I went out to the Eels game, it was just so good.
Oh, the Eels game was next level. That was the biggest New South Wales crowd this year. I think it's the biggest New South Wales crowd since 2014 or something. It's been a while,
and
hopefully we can replicate it this weekend against the Warriors. If you're not doing anything on Saturday, even if you are doing something, cancel your plans and get to the game, please.
It's going to be good. So, all right. So, I mean, any standouts for you in the Sharks game other than Burton?
Yeah, obviously Burton. Outside of Burton, I think my standouts, not because they had exceptional games, but I think Critter backing up from Origin 2 days after being in Melbourne. And then Kickout, it was revealed he played with a broken finger. So just performances like that where they're not making any excuses. If they're 80-90% to go, they're going to go. They're not just going to be like, oh, I've got a broken finger. Like he had surgery during the week and then played Kickout. Insane. And then they've got all the excuses not to play. If Critter doesn't back up, who's sitting here being like, oh, he should have backed up? Probably not many people.
That's right.
He was in Melbourne on Wednesday night. He was apparently Thursday morning, he was 5:30 a.m. doing recovery.
Right.
Insane. And that's why I'm like, those 2 performances, players doing that, it just shows a real good attitude. Curtis Morin as well. I want to give a shout out to him, not because of his performance, but just one play. The Matt Burton field goal. He chased that kick so hard for not for no reason, but just little efforts like that is what fires me up.
And I think that's honestly that is the pure embodiment of the difference between the team this year and the team last year. It is that small effort that you don't know is going to pay off, but it's like, I want to be there in case.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And I think that's why we missed 50 tackles, but we still have the second best defense in the league, only behind the 3-time premiers. That is an insane stat. We were the worst by far in defense last year.
It was like one of the worst defensive seasons ever. Ever. It was a horrible year defensively, but it's just effort, it's resilience, it's people buying into the system. It's, improved culture. The players seem to love each other. They get along well. I remember a couple of years ago, you'd be at the footy, just watching them warm up and you could tell, and I don't expect every single player to be best friends with each other. That's just not going to happen. But you could tell there were, there was a divide in the group and not everyone was getting along. But now you look at them and it looks like every single person is best friends. And
now the media hates us again. So they're trying to bring us down from the outside. Just, bro, get out of here. Paul Crawley, that report by Paul Crawley. I was going to release something and just smash him. I was just like, bro, the guys, I don't want to give this shit any more air.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a joke. Honestly, they've got nothing better to do than to pick on Marnie. Marnie doesn't give a shit. Marnie doesn't care about you or know who you are, bro. Fuck off.
I love it when they're acting like there hasn't been grubs ever.
Yeah.
Reid Marnie is not the first of his kind, and he's not
all the worst.
And obviously you talk Reynolds, you talk McInnes, even outside of the Bulldogs, players have been doing that. Even when you could punch blokes, players were doing it. So
Hodges, Will Chambers, there's been so many.
I just
grubs.
hate how they're just acting like he's the first bloke to ever do it.
I want to give a shout out to Jacob Kiraz. Was like he started at fullback and moved to the wing.
Yeah.
But the consistency with which this guy is playing is just out of this world.
Yeah.
Bro, he ran for 175 meters.
Yeah.
Right. He ran for 175
and he's
meters.
doing that every week. That's almost an off game for him.
It is an off game
he's
for
cracking
him.
200 consistently and getting no love
I
for
think
it.
he's averaging about 197,
Yeah.
198
Yeah,
meters
he's
a game.
doing so good this year. And he's been, he's played centre, he's played wing, he's now started at fullback. It's not like he's playing the same spot consistently.
Yeah, that's right.
And he just gets in there and he just gets through his work. No questions asked. He's a competitor. He's got an offload in his game, which is great as well. But yeah, he just gets through that much work. I love it.
And actually, even though our forwards maybe couldn't aim up because our whole pack isn't as big, but I want to point out something from our forwards, Max King and Sam Hughes. So Max King ran 19 times for 151 meters.
Yeah, Max King had a great game.
Sam Hughes ran 29 times for 159 meters.
Yeah, wow.
They aimed up.
Yeah.
Sure, the rest of the pack
How
isn't as big.
many minutes did Sam Hughes play?
Sam Hughes played 41 minutes.
Yeah, there you go.
And Max King played 66.
I feel like
no, sorry. No, that's not minutes. That's fantasy points.
There
Sorry,
you go.
my bad. 61 minutes for Max King and 53 minutes for Sam Hughes.
I feel like Sam Hughes has come a long way this year. He's doing very, very good in the middle.
And Serraldo's been very protective of him, which I think has been great.
Yeah. I think that's just another part of Serrato's coaching game that he probably doesn't get enough credit
100%.
for his. Sometimes he'll, reduce the minutes of Sam Hughes. Sometimes he'll increase them, and he's just very aware of, where the player's at. And I think if we are going to make a run into the finals, it's important to start looking at those things and, maybe ease some minutes of players to keep them, as fresh as they can be for finals. And if that's something Ciro's aware of and he's going to do, it's great stuff.
I honestly, sometimes I think that he's thinking that far ahead.
Yeah.
I honestly feel like he's thinking that far ahead from now. There was something that I remember, but I don't actually remember what it was. But he's been great just in everything that he's done. I mean, there's obviously going to be decisions we disagree with as fans, but overall, I think he's very, very likely to be coach of the year.
Yeah,
I think I don't think there's anyone else that would qualify.
And 100%, he's had moments where it's not even just like a fan's opinion that, that was probably the wrong thing. I think he's had moments that have proven to be the wrong decision. I think just the moving Matt Burton to center, even though he came out and, said, Matt Burton wanted to, you're the coach. If Matt Burton wants to, that doesn't mean he has to. You're the coach. You tell him not to. And, even though I don't think the Drew Hutchison experiment, if you want to call it that, deserves as much criticism as it gets. I feel like there were still positives. We were winning games. He wasn't setting the world on fire, but he was doing his job. He was doing a job. And I think he was overly criticized. I think he warranted criticism for sure, but it was overly criticized. But even little things like that, you probably should have started the season with Toby Sexton. But it's a debate we don't have to get into. But I just feel like some criticism towards Ciro is warranted, and there are things that he does deserve criticism for. But for the most part, he's been fantastic in many areas as a coach this year.
And no one's going to be perfect. I mean, Wayne, the great Wayne Bennett makes mistakes. The great Craig Bellamy's makes mistakes. So he's on his way, and he's still a rookie coach. It's hard to forget this guy's still a rookie coach, and he's doing a great job.
He's in his second year at his first club.
It's pretty great.
Yeah.
I want to make a quick comment on Nicho Hynes. People are giving him a lot of shit for the missed conversions, the missed drop goal. Look, he gets paid to do those things. Fair enough. I just I want to remind people that he took the Sharks from essentially nothing, to being in the top 4 the first year, being in the top 8 last year, and they're a top 4 team this year. Yeah. Clearly he's had a massive impact on that team, and he's a very talented footballer. Yeah. I think he's in his own head a little bit. He's in a slump, and I hope he gets better because, what, people want to put shit on Hynes because he's an easy target, but he's under a lot of pressure, and you can tell that it's affecting him. Yeah, and it's not like I'm saying don't, because we're fans. We do what we do.
That's sport, bro. Yeah, it's the sport. People that there was, the post that went out about Crichton going over and helping Hynes, and Bulldogs fans were hurling. It wasn't they didn't say abuse, but hurling. What would you call it?
banter, criticism.
Yeah, criticism.
Oh,
like they didn't. I don't remember the word they used. They didn't say abuse.
Yeah.
Obviously, if like he's Indigenous, if you're being racist towards any player, don't do that. Obviously, but I think sport.
But also you're fuckwit.
Yeah, 100%. But like, if you're gonna yell out criticism to the opposition, that's rugby league. That's sport. That's
100%.
what the game's built on. So obviously, that's gonna happen. That's as an athlete, you're signing up to have a fan in the stand yell, "Oh, you suck! You missed a field goal. You did." Like that is sport. Unfortunate, whether it's unfortunate,
comes with the territory. It's not unfortunate. It comes, but
that's sport.
Yeah, but I mean, as someone on a podcast who probably has a platform, I want to say like it's not that I feel sorry for him. I just think that he'll get over it very soon.
And
he'll be very
good on Nicho Hynes. It's pretty obvious just the way he's carrying himself at the moment that he is in his head. As you said, I think. When he lined up that goal from the sideline at Shark Park the other week, you could tell like he just was against himself. And even there was a moment where I said in the moment I knew we were going to win. It was when in between full time and golden point, Matt Burton has just missed his first field goal, and they cut to Burton in the huddle, and he's sitting there laughing. And I'm like, oh, he's so calm. Like he's just missed a field goal to win the game, and he's there laughing with the trainer. Like he's so calm. He's not feeling the pressure. And then it cuts to Nicho Hynes, and he looked like he was about to cry. And I was like, oh, like we've probably win this game. Like he's not. Nicho Hynes was not kicking the first field goal attempt. Obviously, 15 minutes out, I was like, oh, he probably is going to kick.
I thought that's it. It's over. All right, back it up, boys.
Just the way he was, carrying himself, he was very nervous. You could tell the pressure was getting to him, but. He's won a Dally M. He's in his third year at halfback. He's still a young halfback in that sense. And he's a professional athlete. He's a very good athlete. I think he'll definitely bounce back. He's just got to sort of get over this slump, and I think he will.
And look, I don't know, man. It's one of those things like, I want him to be better. I think, he's a great talent. I actually think he's a fullback, not a half.
Yeah.
My thing is that I think he's got a really good running game, and he's a good ball playing fullback as opposed to being an out and out 7. That's sort of what I think, but I still think he's also talented enough to be 7.
Yeah.
And I just sort of wanted to mention it because it's not that I felt sorry for him. I just thought, you know what, the thing is as well, like the amount he does for the community and things like that. They're the types of players you want to elevate, not shit on.
It's a shame that he's become a target by the media and by fans in a negative sense because he does do a lot for the game. And he, at first when he first signed to the Sharks, nobody hated Nicho Hynes.
That's right.
And it's just sort of flipped so much, but there's not many players that do deserve, insanely negative criticism, but especially him. He deserves a lot better, as do a lot of players. Like even like Latrell Mitchell. Like I'm not a huge Latrell Mitchell fan, nor I hate Latrell Mitchell. But sometimes the criticism of him is just too much, or the media attention. Players deserve better.
I love Latrell. Latrell's legit one of my favorite players. I love everything about Latrell. Look, he's not the perfect player, and he's not could he ever be Greg Inglis? Probably not. Could he get close? I think he can. Yeah. Right? But, and sometimes it's got to be called out for what it is. People are going to shit on him because he's Indigenous. Yeah. Because he's an outspoken Indigenous. Like if you had a white dude that was outspoken, right? I don't think he cops the same criticism that Latrell does. That's the truth, right? And because Latrell is confident in himself, he is that character, he is that personality, he's going to cop it a little bit more. And for me, it's just, I just think that, everybody wants to talk about, diversity and inclusion, and they want to do all these. But it's like, I feel like a lot of the time it's the journos that are the POSs that do a lot of this unnecessary criticism of particular players.
Well, they put the media attention on him in a negative light.
Always. Yes. Anyway, it was a great win by the Dogs. Up the Doggies. Quickly, Rob Ramsey mentioned that Nicho is still playing with a calf injury too, which is a great point because it's definitely impacting his kicking. Yeah. And I think maybe he should have been told, hey, let's we'd rather you take a week or two off, get yourself right, rather than continuing to have the pressure being applied on you. I don't know, that's my opinion, but I'm sure, Fitzy knows what he's doing.
Well, he'd only missed 3 goals heading into Origin, and then he was rested the week after Origin and then missed that sideline conversion and then missed 2 against us. So, plus the field goal. So, maybe the calf is playing a role there, to be fair. Yeah, 100%.
So, David's mentioned the other thing that makes the Shark win so good is not only that we had all these people out, Fox, Mann, Preston, Tracy, and Critter was backing up, but the Sharks were full strength and coming fresh off the bye.
Yeah, 100%, and that just adds to how good of a winner it was.
But did Hamlin Ueli play?
I don't think he played.
Yeah, so they
not
weren't
from memory.
quite full strength, but they were close enough. Yeah, they were close enough.
They've got depth in the forwards too.
Bruh.
They've got depth. So
I hope we sign one of Royce Hunt or Tom Hazelton because I think that'd be great.
If we had Tom Hayes with it, like he's a cult hero at Sharks. Imagine what it'd be like at the Dog. Like we'll turn anyone into a cult hero. But the Shine, that's what I call him because he's got the shiny head.
The Shine.
We call him the Shine. My mate made up that nick. My mate, he's a Sharks fan. He made up that nickname. But yeah, I'd love him just because he's a good player, but he'd also just be a cult hero.
Yeah, he's a big cult hero. What do you reckon of Daniel Saifidi coming off contract? Do you think it could be something could be good for the Doggies if they were to go after him? I don't think it's just a hypothetical.
Yeah, like he's a quality player. He's played Origin. He's a big forward, and we probably need big forwards. But at the same time, I'm sweet as is, to be honest. Like we've just signed Satili. I think it depends on the price.
Yeah,
that's where I probably land on. Like he'd be a nice player to have, but you don't want to overpay. Especially like we're doing all right with what we've got. We've got Amon coming. We've got Satili coming. So it's probably like worth having a chat with him. But it just depends on how much he's asking. I think at the right price, obviously you'd take him.
I mean, I think he'll be fantastic, especially if you bring him into our culture with a good coach. I'll be honest with you, I'm not a fan of Adam O'Brien as a coach at all whatsoever. I don't think he's a premiership winning coach, and he's not the right coach for someone like Kennel and Will Price. I think that and even Kai Peace-Paul. I think Kai Peace-Paul is doing well because he's a good footballer, not because the coach is bringing it out of him. Honestly, I don't think that O'Brien's a good coach at all.
Yeah, no, I think he got pretty lucky that they went on a run and then got to re-sign his contract.
And it was like one of those runs that the fullbacks have, like the Barbers and the Trebojevic.
Well, he was so close to the game before they played us when they put 66 on us. It was like, if you lose this, you sacked.
Yeah, exactly.
And then they beat us, and then he kept his job.
And then they re-signed him. I was like,
that's what I mean.
Why would you do that? He had it. It was just a purple pack.
He got pretty lucky.
Really his coaching, right? And now you look at when they went and signed Cogger, I was like, why would they do that?
Yeah,
it didn't really make sense to me.
Yeah,
why would you do that? Because they had signed Will Price already, and I was like, why would they do that? It didn't make sense to me.
Yeah,
and now they've got this problem where they're not sure who their halves are.
Yeah,
they're not sure what they're. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a bit of a mess.
It is, and I think it sort of shows the coaching of Adam O'Brien. Now, the team for the Warriors game was announced.
Yeah.
So. Great news is that Connor Tracy is at fullback.
Yeah.
And I think we missed him incredibly against the Sharks.
Big time.
His ball playing at the back is so important, and it showed in our less than slick attack against the Sharks. Yeah, great to have Connor back. Jacob Kiraz back on the wing, Sherry at centre, Captain Courageous at centre, and we've got Blake Wilson. So Skelton is dropped, which I think is fair enough. I think Blake Wilson has earned that spot.
Yeah. I think it's, especially after that Para game, I think Blake Wilson showed Skelton the last weeks has been brilliant, and
he has been.
It's nice to have that depth. Obviously, when I remember before the team list dropped today, I was thinking like, who would I rather there, Wilson or Skelton? I probably lean towards Wilson, but it was like, if they named Skelton, like I'm genuinely happy either way. Like it's a nice problem to have where you have such quality depth. There's somebody else that's in reserve grade, but I can't remember who I'm thinking of. But like you have Eli Clark. We've got quality depth. That's something we've got. Yeah.
Apparently, Hayes Perrin's been really good as well. Yeah. So I mean, if we do get injuries, like there is some sort of backup there with experience in first 100%. Grade. So Blake Wilson at 5. Then you got Burton and Sexton as the halves. Kingy, Marnie, Hughes make up the forward pack. Kikau, Salmon, Haywood make up the back row. I think that Bailey will end up coming off the bench. Kurtman will start.
I think I wish there was a betting market for it of will the coach make a change? Because at this stage as a Dogs fan, the Tuesday team list is almost redundant.
Might as not even pay attention.
You literally have to wait until an hour before kickoff to see what the team list is going to be.
And I'm sitting there refreshing eggs like, where is it? Where is it? Where is it?
You almost see him name a team that like actually makes sense 1 to 7, and you go, why is he going to change it?
Yeah. Why isn't he made? But there's no twist
here. I think they'll definitely. I guess maybe Kurtman will start and Hayward will come to the bench, or will Salmon shift to lock? And I don't know.
I think Kurtman is so good at lock. Yeah. Like you can't.
He was good off the bench, so that's the thing.
Yeah,
like,
he was.
So, but I think it's almost guaranteed that there will be a change somewhere.
And then rounding out the bench is Mann, Curran, Curtis Moran, and Lipoi Hopoi. It's interesting that Jacob Preston isn't even on the extended bench or in the reserves.
And he was on the extended bench last week.
Yeah, so I wonder whether they're just giving him some more time to get it right or if he's re-injured it or something.
Yeah, I think it's either into a bye next week. They've gone, let's just play it safe and get your heaps recovered, or hopefully this isn't the case, but maybe he's re-aggravated something, but hopefully they're just giving him, an extra week off. I feel like if they were doing that, you probably do put him in the reserves though. To be safe, but hopefully they're just giving him an extra week.
The one I find interesting is Jack Todd's been named at 23. He was sort of slated to debut around round 12, 13. Then I think he fractured his arm and didn't get the chance. Hot Boy's taken his opportunity with both hands. So I think it's interesting whether Todd may get a run this week. I don't think he will, but I think he will after the bye. He may get an opportunity.
He's somebody that's been in my black book since the off season.
Oh, black book.
Yeah, I've got a little bit of a black book on my phone in my notes of just some of the juniors I got my eye on. And Jack Todd, he was in there during the off season. I spoke to someone at the club, just like on the media team. Obviously, they watch him train. He'd had a lot to do with the academy, so the young guys. And he said Jack Todd's somebody to watch. He's just got a bit of dog in him. Reminded him of Jacob Preston in his first preseason. So,
wow, okay,
and then since then he's just flown through the grades and he's close to first grade. Apparently, he's just got a bit about him.
Well, he played in that trial against the Sharks and I think against Melbourne. And him and Haywood were the standouts for me. Yeah. Jack Todd stood out for me, and I thought this is one guy that I think could play this year, given our small size.
Yeah, 100%. Because he's a bit of a bigger body.
Yeah, definitely. Having said that, though, quick question. Let's say Sicily comes in next year. Whose place does he take? Does he take Curtis Moran's place?
Yeah, I'd say so. Obviously, you're not dropping Curran and maybe he gets a start on the edge and Salmon goes to the bench and then he rotates into the middle potentially. But then still, again, Curtis Moran probably is one that drops out. Yeah, maybe Lipoy probably doesn't hold that spot either.
Yeah.
Once again, it's a good headache to have.
Yeah, do you think Tom Amone sort of starts up alongside Kingy with Hughes to the bench?
I reckon Amone probably comes off the bench to start with, to be honest. I reckon.
You reckon?
To adjust to the NRL, I wouldn't start him. Maybe as the season goes on, he could get the start spot. I think to start with, even James Graham was coming off the bench when he first came over, just so they can adjust to the NRL.
Fair
it's
enough.
A little bit different. That's just my opinion. You never know. I feel like as the season goes on, Sam Hughes is only getting better. So I feel like, Amone probably comes off the bench part. I don't know.
That'll be such a good problem to have next year.
That's what I mean. It's a good problem to have. Yeah.
Ryan Ranker is saying, all right, I finally made the live chat. Welcome. and really, really excited to have you here. I just want to read a comment that was made by Brian Dibb. He's like, Red... people call me Red because...
Yeah, I wonder why.
Red, I'm going to turn on you. What time are these podcasts starting? We need a constant start time, not Lebanese time. And look, I agree, and I apologize that the times have been fluctuating, but sometimes it's issues with either the studio or our producer or me being sick or life getting in the way. We work full-time jobs and stuff. So I really appreciate that you guys want it to be more consistent. And over the next month, what we're aiming to do is we are going to be more consistent with our timing. We're actually next week going to be starting later to make it a bit more convenient for everyone. So next week, our live, we should go live either at 7 or 7:30, but I'll be sure to make some posts about that. But apologies that it hasn't been consistent. But I am making it up with some excellent guests. Come on.
Josh Reynolds the other week was pretty good.
Oh, it was. You know what, man? He was such a pleasure to have. Yeah. And actually, James Graham, bro, it was...
Keen for that to drop.
Very, very, very good. If you guys haven't liked it, please, it's just going to take you 1 second. Please go ahead and click the like button.
Subscribe
as well. Right now. Please subscribe.
Yeah. Come on, guys. Subscribe. It's good content.
Please, thank you, and I really appreciate your support.
You don't want to miss that James Graham interview.
Oh my God!
Make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications as well. Don't miss out on that James Graham interview.
Do all the things. Actually, we've got a lot more guests coming up. I'm not going to reveal anything right now, but our pipeline is pretty stacked.
Yeah, nice.
Our pipeline is very, very stacked. The Warriors team, I think they've named a good team. To be honest.
They have. Sean Johnson's out at the moment, but that's.
I think Sean Johnson's copped so much shit for no reason. You don't get smashed by 66 because one player is playing badly. Honestly, I know that, as fans, we like to pick target and aim.
Yeah.
But he's not the only problem.
Yeah.
They've had a really bad season, unfortunately. And the Warriors are sort of a second team. I just love the Warriors. I want them to be successful, and we see what Warriors success means for rugby league in New Zealand. And I think we need a second New Zealand team ASAP. But I also think that the Warriors need to win a bloody grand final or be in a grand final.
Yeah.
So they've got Chans at the back, DWZ on the wing. They've got RTS in the centres, Adam Pompey, who I think has played really well the last couple of weeks. Marcelo Montoya on the wing, Chanel Harris Tavira at 6, Tamari Martin at 7, Adam Fanua-Blake at 8, Wade Egan at 9, Mitch Barnett back at 10, which I find very, very interesting. Marata Niokore is at 11, Kurt Capel is at 12, Tohu Harris, captain, rounds out the second row. On the bench, they got Freddie Lussick, Dylan Walker, Jazz Tavanga, and Jackson Ford.
Yep.
That is a very tough team. That's a very good team. Do I think that we can beat them? I think we can and we will. But I can't ignore that it is a very, very good team.
Yeah, I think we're in for a tough game. I think physically they've got a very good forward pack, as Warriors teams tend to have. And obviously, as we've touched on, we don't have the biggest forward pack, but that's something that we've done this year where we've come up against the Neils forward pack, we've come up against the Sharks forward pack, and we've gone with them. Even if we're not getting the meters, Burton gets on the boot and we make up the meters and we just stick in the game. We play 80 minutes, and I think that's probably something the Warriors haven't done as much this year. They haven't really been an 80-minute team when they have won. I think they've played in patches. They had that shocking game the other week against the Titans. But at the same time, they beat the Panthers. They've been a very hot and cold team this year, and it's because they're playing in patches, and you have to take advantage of when they're in a bad patch. And I think if we play like we have been, where we've been playing 80 minutes and we've been consistent, that's something we can take advantage of.
100%. And I mean, look, again, we can sort of talk a lot about it, but where I think the game is up for grabs is that the Warriors haven't been able to execute on their defense, even when winning games.
Yeah.
We're actually not a bad attacking team in any way. We're actually pretty good in attack, and we're exceptional in defense. If we are able to hold them out using our defense, I think we can score 30 on them.
Yeah.
Especially with Connor Tracy back.
Yeah.
I don't think that they have the defensive fortitude to keep us out.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think we've got the attack to take advantage of poorer defensive teams. Look at the Knights, for example. They're not a horrible defensive team, but they're a defensive team that, isn't perfect, and that's a game where we scored a bunch of points. Even the Para game, we scored, I think, 4 tries, and they're a good defensive team. So I think definitely, as I said, Warriors play in patches. As you said, their defense isn't, fantastic. They're not one of the best defensive teams. So if you can take advantage of them when the opportunities are there, which is something that we've tended to do this year with iced opportunities, I think we can get them. I think, I'm not going to sit here and say, we're definitely winning. I don't think that's the case at all.
I think we're definitely winning. I'm saying 30 plus.
I'm surprised that, we're favourites. I'm surprised we're favourites, but at the same time, I'm glad we're finally getting the respect we deserve, because every week 100%. We're not favourites when we should be. But yeah, I think it's going to be a tough game, but it's very winnable. And if we can get 2 wins rolling into the final bye, it puts us in such a nice spot. Amazing. I've said because obviously we're in this 3-game period between the 2 byes, and I said we have to win one of the games. Yeah. If we can win 2, that'll be very nice.
It'll be fantastic.
And so, hopefully, especially when we play them in New Zealand later, this is the one challenge. This is one you want to get. You want to get at least one over the Warriors.
But I like that we're versing them in Australia first at Accor.
Yeah,
because I think that it'll be a massive test, and we can prove ourselves and announce ourselves. If we go over there and win in New Zealand, that'll be next level for us as a team. So I'm glad that we've got Accor first to sort of test them out a little, see where they're at, and then go back to New Zealand. So very quickly, Danger Man, who would you say the Danger Man is?
I think Taumara Martin's in red hot form at the moment. He's definitely the one to watch, especially with Sean Johnson out. He's been very good when Sean Johnson isn't playing. I think a lot of the attacks coming off the back of him. So, you probably want to go at him when we have the ball and tire him out a little bit and just make sure you're shutting him down. I think Chans he's been a bit hot and cold this year, but when he's hot, he's got a good hand. So probably watching him as well. But I think TMM's probably the one to watch.
I'm going to go Wade Egan. I think that Wade Egan is such a good 9.
Yeah.
And I actually had him if they weren't going to go with Api, I had him as the New South Wales number 9 over Robson.
Yeah, okay.
I think he has much more attacking flair than Robson, but he also has the defensive chops. Maybe not as good defensively, maybe a run below, but I think that he's a more well-rounded number 9.
Yeah, no, he's very good, and the Warriors are way better when he's playing. He's had
100%.
a tough run with injuries and head knocks this season. Did he play last week?
Yeah, he did.
Did he play the Titans game? I feel like he might have been out for the Titans
I don't know if he played the Titans
and that's where
game.
I'm like, they're so much better when he's playing, and so
they're a different team.
Yeah,
they're very
100%,
very much different team. And so I think he's the danger man to watch out for. But if we can keep him at bay and stop him from getting out of dummy half too often, honestly, I think that we may be able to, like, Anthony Blake is one of those ones where he can be a tearaway as well and score a lot of tries if you're not careful.
Even like Mitch Barnett's been very good in the forwards as well.
He's so good. Yeah. He's fantastic. And hasn't he come on over the last year and a half?
Big time.
So great. I thought he should be on the bench for New South Wales.
Yeah, no, that's valid.
I mean, I'm a fan of Olakwatu. I thought Olakwatu was good. But I think that, in fact, I'll go as far as to say that he should probably start in place of Jake Trbojevic. And Trbojevic shouldn't be in the team.
Well, he's only there because he's captain. Like,
but why?
I know.
What? Like, you could, like, if you had Stefano Utoikamanu there and had Yo as captain, I think that would make
I think
a lot
Cameron
more
Murray
sense.
should be captain.
I think Crichton should be captain.
Oh, that's
I actually
100%.
think Crichton should be captain. That's a big call, and yes, I am biased. Obviously, I'm a Doggy supporter, but I think he'll be.
It's
Crichton
a bit of a weird one.
So, very, very quickly, Paul Frederick is asking, is Dib coming back or has he left the show? No, Dib has not left the show. He is integral to everything that we do. Dib was overseas. He only came back a few days ago. He just needed some time to catch up with work.
Bit of infighting in the Kennel podcast, mate. Bit of drama.
Oh, look at you. Look at you, Paul Crawley. Buzz Rothfield. It's Dib does send his pieces and greetings. He's, as I say, he just came back from overseas. He will be back next week on the live show. He misses everyone. He misses the podcast, and he was sort of touch and go for this week. It was going to be me, you, and him, but he just because work and everything, he was away for 3.5 weeks, so it takes some time. But Dib is not going anywhere. Over my dead body is Dib going anywhere. So. All right, guys, it's almost 6 o'clock. This has been a fantastic hour with you.
This is going very quickly.
Yeah. I reckon we could keep going for another hour.
100%.
It was just so good to have you. I really appreciate you coming down. Bro, I'd love to extend the welcome for you to join us each and every single week that you are available.
I appreciate it.
Honestly, it's been
hit me up. I'm happy to jump on when I can, and I appreciate the invite as well. As I said, it's been heaps of fun.
Yeah, it's been so much fun. And guys, I'm gonna have all of Winston's socials down the bottom. Show him some love. Show him some Kennel love. Very quickly, have you been on the Kennel forums before?
I've dabbled in. I'm not very active on there because it's just like. You got to get used to like the layout and that sort of thing, but I do want to be way more active in there. It's annoying because like you got to like adapt to the new. If that makes sense.
In Insta and Facebook.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like because it's a different layout and you got to like just the navigation of that. Once I get around that, I definitely want to be more active in there. That's something I'm aware of.
Awesome. Look. Again, thank you very much. It's been such a great hour. As I said, it's almost 6 o'clock and we've got things to do.
We could sit here and just talk all day.
We probably have to come back and start a bit earlier and just go on all night. Thank you to everybody that's joined us this afternoon. It's been such a pleasure reading all your comments, and your support means so much to us. Please be sure to like the video, share it with your friends, subscribe, bell icon, all these things. Please look out for the James Graham video that'll be coming out within the next week, and then the Greenacre Tigers Gala Day video will also be coming out not too long after that. We've got other content coming up that's not podcast. It's sort of we're experimenting with some things. Please make sure to subscribe. All that's coming, and we have for the buy. We're gonna have something very, very, very special for you guys. So keep a lookout for that. Thank you very much. Have a great afternoon. Hope you enjoy your footy. Unless you're a Nils fan, I hope your team loses. Have a good one.
And the Warriors.
And the Warriors this week. Thanks, guys.